In July of 2023, we took our Airstream to Kentucky to RV the Bourbon Trail. And we thought it might be fun to share the distilleries we went to. Spoiler, there were 15 different ones, and a little bit about each of the tours, and as well as our campground and kind of our experiences having our RV with us for this trip. So in this part one, we're gonna have what I'm calling day 0, which was our travel day, but also the day we went to our first distillery along the way. And then days 1 and 2, so our first 2 full days on the Bourbon Trail, we went to 4 distilleries in Louisville, Kentucky, and then we packed up the Airstream and moved a little bit down the road to Bardstown and visited a couple more. So where we live in Charleston, South Carolina is actually pretty far from the other side of Kentucky where all the bourbon distilleries are. So our travel day was actually 2 days. We stopped overnight just inside of Kentucky at a KOA, and then we got up on the next morning, and we only had about 2 to 3 hours to drive to get to our campground. So we were able to stop along the way at the Kentucky Artisan Distillery, which is the home of Jefferson's bourbon, which is one of my personal favorites. So I was really excited to let that be our very first distillery experience. We didn't take a whole lot of video inside because we weren't sure if that was going to be okay. It ended up being totally fine, but we had only taken our cell phones in, not our actual camera. So there's just a few short clips inside there. But we did really enjoy that distillery and getting to taste Jefferson's, a couple different bourbons from their lineup to start off our adventures. We just finished our first tour on the Bourbon Trail, our first distillery tour. Josh is over there, you can't see him. Let's see, we got there a little early. We actually arrived around 12:30 and our tour was at 2. And we parked next door to the Kentucky Artisan Distillery at the Botanic Gardens and went and paid the entrance fee and walked around for about half an hour. It's really nice, highly recommend. Check with them if you have an RV. I don't know that they would necessarily want people parking there, but their parking lot was a little easier for us to get in and out of, so we did park there. And then we ran the generator for just a minute. We were back at the edge of the parking lot, so we weren't making too much noise up near the gardens, and cooled off the RV just enough to leave the kitties in there for about an hour while we went and did our tour. And yeah, so we're on our way now to our campsite for the next 2 nights at the Charlestown State Park, which is actually technically in Indiana, but it's it looked like a nice, fairly inexpensive campground near Louisville, so that's why we chose it. The state park we're camping in has a nice overlook to the Ohio River, and it's, 8:28, sunsets at 8:59. And we, of course, are not facing the sunset. It faces the other way. But it's really, really nice out here. And we have the entire overlook to ourselves. We are completely alone in this side of the park. This is the Ohio River. That's Josh flying a drone. Nice view a long way on the river. There's another overlook. And our lone vehicle in this huge parking lot. I know it's Tuesday. The park is open till 11, but we have it all to ourselves. This has kind of been like the entire experience we've had so far at the Charlestown State Park. Our stay at Charlestown State Park was 2 nights, and we were in Site 122, which was a full hookup site. We were almost completely alone in the campground. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 other RVs and a few tent campers, and it cost a grand total of $77.60. So we were very happy with our choice to stay here. Even though it was a little bit outside of Louisville, it really wasn't a bad drive at all, and we would highly recommend this park. The other RV park that we heard really good things about from others is the Derby Park that's actually in Louisville. So if you want to be a little closer in, I would take a look at that one. And if you kind of like the peace and quiet of being out away from the city, then I would look at this one for sure. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock in the morning on our first full day on the Bourbon Trail, and we are going to do something kind of crazy today, and we're going to try to hit 4 distilleries in one day. So we have tours at 10, 12, 2, and 4.
Holy shit.
Whoa. Those turkeys? Turkey vultures? Turkeys?
Those are turkeys.
Those are turkeys in the middle of the road. Oh my god, there's babies. Look at them. Okay.
Are they wild turkey?
Okay, back to what I was saying. We're going to 4 distilleries. So our first one we are going to today is Stitzel-Weller, and then we'll go from there to downtown Louisville and park, and then go to 3 distilleries that are all kind of on that like Bourbon Row or Whiskey Row, whatever they call it, which is like the main street in downtown Louisville, from what I hear. And we're gonna start there at Evan Williams, and then go to Angel's Envy, and then we're finishing up with Old Forester. And then we have a dinner reservation. Give us time to dry out. And then we'll be back at the campground late this evening. So we just got done at Stitzel-Weller, and first impressions were that was an excellent tour. Highly recommend. Yeah. So you start out in the gift shop is where you go and meet your tour, and then they take you around to the front and you learn about the front door and all about the history of Stitzel-Weller and how it came to be. Learn about Pappy Van Winkle and his part in building that actual distillery. And then you go around to all the different places. You go inside a rick house, that was our first one that we've gone inside. That was really cool. Dusty, spider webby. I'm sure I've heard full of mold. And what else did we see? We saw an old like barrel repair shop.
Yep. Where what's the name? The Coopers. Coopers worked. The Coopers
would go and like repair barrels that were leaking a lot. We went and saw the still. So they had, when it was first built, they had a really, really tall still that was what do they call them? A column still. And it was the tallest in the world at the time, I think. And they've got one section of it, they've got 1/3 of it still here, and then another third of it is at Bullet, and then another third was recycled. So we got to see that. They only actually distill a little bit, like kind of small batch things. They do a lot of research for their parent company. But they bottle and age for a lot of big brands like Bullet and some others that are owned by their parent company. So that was really cool. The original building is gorgeous on the inside. They've really kept it well maintained, and they've got the Garden and Gun Club. It's just like it's like the masculine bar that you see on Pinterest. The whole thing is just really, really cool, really well done. So, feel like we started at the top. We're gonna see how it goes from here. And we're on our way now to Evan Williams, the Evan Williams Experience in downtown Louisville.
We just got done the Evan Williams Experience. It was very Disney-esque.
Yes.
So you kind of walk through each room and it's kind of like set up like how it was a long time ago when they invented the brand. And it kind of showed like little videos and stuff to like show how the investors took over and how they became like one of the largest whiskey and bourbon distillers today.
Yeah, it was 100%. If you took a bourbon experience and put it in the American Pavilion at Epcot, this is exactly what you would get. Like, it was really cool. Yeah, really, really cool. But it was totally Disney.
As you are getting seated, I am going to show you a short film quickly. Right after that, we're going to taste bourbon. Feel free to move around. If you need water, it's in the back of the room. But right after this, we will be having our bourbon tasting together.
Right about now.
So we just got done at Angel's Envy, and interesting because you only taste two things. You taste Angel's Envy and Angel's Envy Rye. But I really enjoyed the tasting because they give you Angel's Envy and then they give you Angel's Envy on the rocks. And you also try it with an orange chocolate. And then you do Angel's Envy Rye, and then you do that with a white chocolate. So it was a really interesting tasting. The tour was really cool. It was hot. We were in and out of, all the actual production rooms. So it was a little warm today. It is currently 92 degrees. So that was probably my only drawback of that tour, but it was really cool, really informative. They're the only, well, they claim to be the only ones, at least the only ones on Bourbon Row, that finished their whiskeys, bourbons. So that's kind of cool. Any thoughts, Joshua?
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
That's all.
I liked tasting. We got to taste each step of the process. So like we tasted the mash, we tasted the product coming directly off the still, and we got to taste like the finished product. So it was nice to like compare where the notes are coming from. So when you taste corn, you could really taste the corn in the mash, and you could taste the corn in the product coming off the still. So
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, just like with wine tasting, like you taste the grapes from the wine, you really taste like where the flavor profile is coming from.
Yeah. No, I forgot about, I didn't taste the mash, but you can taste the mash. They take a little ladle and open the mash tank and spoons them out into a little cup for you, and it is very gritty and grainy.
Very chunky.
Not my texture is not my thing, so Josh tried it though. Alright, so our next one is, our last one for the day is Old Forester. So we're just walking back. It's about halfway between Evan Williams and Angel's Envy. So we're walking back there, and then we're heading to dinner. if you can hear us. We're like in the parking lot. But we just got done at Old Forester, which I really enjoyed. They have a good story. Our tour guide sold to us. We also had a cocktail before, so we were really enjoying the Old Forester tour. It's really cool. They showed us the whole process from beginning to end. They actually show us how the barrels are made. They make their own barrels. There's a neat little clip I'll show you of them actually charring a barrel. They let somebody press the button to char the barrel, which was kind of cool. Yeah, what were the highlights of the tour for you?
I like seeing the barrel process. That was like a really big staple in the bourbon industry that like a lot of the other companies, brands aren't doing. Like
they're buying their finished barrels.
Right. They buy a finished barrel, they put the stuff in it, and then they age it. But they're actually like making their own barrels like in-house. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and we bought our first allocated bourbon. We bought one that you can only buy if you're on the tour. So, I don't know, it tasted good, so... and it wasn't that expensive. It was like in the $55 range, so I thought that was a good first purchase of an allocated bourbon.
Change my mind. I might be interested in rye whiskey.
Yeah, so... Now that's like the second tour in a row where I've really enjoyed the rye.
Yeah.
Which before this like bourbon tour experience, I didn't actually like rye.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's very different,
yeah.
but like the exact same process. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
if you can get past the like punch in the face like alcohol.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think the rye has a lot more flavor.
It is higher alcohol, but it's also like it's a completely different flavor profile because you're getting a lot more like earthy tones, and like I always get like the wet grass like taste and palate. But I mean, I think you either like it or you don't.
I think we have about an hour to kill before dinner. We're gonna go have an appetizer, and I'm probably gonna have a Diet Coke, dry out a little bit, and then we're heading off to dinner at Top Crows. And then headed back to the campground to check on the kitties. Well, hello. We didn't film our what are we doing today this morning when we were on the way. So this morning it's Wednesday now. No, oh gosh, it's Thursday now. And we got up and checked out of our campground in Indiana and towed the Airstream down to the Jim Beam Distillery, and we parked here and got the generator going and got the kitties comfortable, not happy but comfortable. And then we just did the Jim Beam tour, which was pretty cool. They start in the main like welcome center, and then you get on a bus, and a nice air-conditioned bus to take you up and down all the hills around the campus, which is much appreciated because it is almost 90 degrees right now. It's a high of 94 today, so definitely appreciate the bus. They are not currently, some of their buildings are not currently open because they're doing their summer shutdown, so we didn't get to go to the fermenting area, and we didn't get to go to the still area. But they have a lot of information set up outside of there, so you can kind of still see and learn about the entire process. The tour itself was about an hour, including the tasting. And yeah, we got to taste some really cool stuff that I never even heard of. So Jim Beam owns Knob Creek and Basil Hayden, along with a lot of other brands. So we got to taste some really cool, interesting stuff. And we also got to bottle our own Knob Creek. The price was about what we normally pay at our liquor store, so we figured why not? We might as well do it. So Josh did bottle his own, and he got to put his thumbprint in the wax on the top, which was really neat. And I think we'll open that probably later tonight when my parents get here, since they weren't able to join us on this tour today. Yeah, so now we're gonna have a little rest break. We're waiting on a friend to meet us for lunch. We're gonna go over to the kitchen table here at Jim Beam, and then we're gonna go check into our campground in Bardstown. Late this afternoon, last tour of the day, we have Bardstown Bourbon Company. Really looking forward to that one. Yeah, and just looking forward to seeing Bardstown and kind of the home of bourbon, the bourbon capital of the world.
We just got done with Bardstown Bourbon Company. It was different from everything else that we've seen so far. It was a very high-tech operation, and I think their motto was kind of like bringing some of the older recipes from like the bigger brand names back to shelving. So everything was really high-tech. It was kind of cool to see like a different side of the process, I guess, like the still and the fermenting and all that stuff was like computer controlled, and you can kind of see like the screens, and they were like digitally putting in the recipes for everything, and like a computer was just doing everything for them. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Something funny that happened on the tour is like we were all leaning over like the mash barrel, like talking about like the process of converting corn and everything into mash, put it in the distillery. So the guy goes, yeah, you can just try it if you want. Just dip your hand in there. And we all just like dipped our hand in and like pulled out a creamy corn goodness and just drank from our hand. So that was kind of bizarre. What'd you think, Rach?
We tasted from a barrel directly.
Oh yeah, we did taste from a barrel. Like we walked over to the rick house at the very end of the tour, and the guy used like a thief and took it right out of the barrel, and we got a taste from there.
It's interesting. We didn't taste any finished product there. So we did the like barrel to, I don't know. It was there's like a name to the tour. I can't remember what it was called, but we started out tasting like basically like their white lightning, their
Yeah, we drank directly from the still.
Yeah.
And that was like their pre-proofed
just like straight off the still, yeah. And then there was like a product, there was that exact same thing but aged 3 years,
right? Which
is not something they sell,
right?
And then there was like a blend, but that was nothing we tasted is something that they sell, which was kind of interesting. Like,
yeah, it was kind of weird. I think they really specialize in like outsourcing all of their like recipes and everything. So
yeah, I mean they have lots of Bardstown like label, like there's stuff you can buy on the shelf. That's,
right.
Like, different Bardstown products, but we just didn't taste any of it today.
Right.
So that was
it was interesting to see like the industrial side of this. Yeah. So we're off to a super secret restaurant.
We're gonna go find dinner.
We're going to go find dinner.
Oh, there's water coming through.
This is the Hudson River. Oh, there's somebody kayaking out here.
We're at the Falls of the Ohio
Yes.
State Park.
Yes. That is where we are.
That's the Ohio River.
This is where Lewis and Clark met to start the expedition.
Yes. And there's a statue back up at the top at the museum.
There's also supposed to be 4,000 different types of fossils that have been identified here.
So these are fossil beds from like hundreds of millions of years ago. And it's one of the largest exposed fossil sites in the world.
Sounds great.
It's really cool. It's totally free. Josh forgot his drone. Well, he has his drone. He has no drone batteries. He's very sad.
Like a drone mecca.
He's also like a Josh Mecca. He's a monkey. Should have given him the camera. I'm in flip-flops. And he's running.